And away we go. Welcome to another episode of the Pickup Meeting. How you doing, Brody?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. We've got a good friend of mine on the show today.
Listen, there's a lot going on there. One, this is a guest I don't know. Two, this is you stating you have a friend. And
Yes.
That's always awesome to hear as well.
It is. I feel like I have fewer of those every day.
Well, you're getting older. That's the way this works, is what I hear.
Yeah. Senior discounts. They're amazing.
Yes, you're starting to take advantage of the senior discounts. That's what I remember.
I ordered my first senior discounted breakfast the other day. It was uninspiring, I guess, but I did enjoy the savings.
I was having a conversation about the podcast with a listener, and they said, I'd let them know that it was your birthday recently, and so they said, well, how old is he? And they said, my assumption is that you guys are close in age, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Right?
I love that every day.
I know. And I was like, he's 55. And they're like, oh, he looks tremendous for 55. So when you tried for the senior breakfast, did you get any grief?
Well, we were joking about it at the table, and I think our server heard me joking about it. So they didn't even ask for my ID, which I assume is probably not a thing that they do at a place like that.
Probably not. You know, one of these things that I think about when you mentioned breakfast, right? And like there's like people like certain meals, people like certain things. What is something that you love or that everyone seems to love, but you don't love at all?
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I don't mind watching this sport, for example, but I cannot understand how people enjoy playing this sport, and that's golf. Like, what? Golf is terrible. Like, I don't get it. 5 hours of pure miserableness.
And you're saying in all formats?
Yeah, like, I mean, miniature golf's okay. Like, that's fast.
Miniature golf
I don't have to swing a club and swear at myself for being terrible.
Have you ever played golf?
Yes, I've played golf. I've tried many times.
Man, you got a little sassy there. Yes, I don't know these things. I don't know everything about you. So, when you played it many times, were you good at it?
Never. I've never been good at it. Like, I'll hit a good shot from time to time, and that's how golf gets you, right? It begs you to come back. But the only way to get good is to practice a lot, and you have to spend 5 hours. Like I did running as an adult, and I enjoy running. And the great thing about running is, you can do it and it doesn't take very long and you can get better at it pretty fast.
Yeah. Golf's not that way.
No,
I play golf, or I have, I don't play as much anymore. And I would not say that I'm good, but I have 2 holes in one.
What?
Yeah. One is legit. I hit it and I was having a terrible day of golf and it went in, and, matter of fact, we didn't really see it go in. And so we're looking behind the hole because I was like, well, I must have flown over, right? And then all of a sudden a buddy's at the hole and he says some curse words and he's like, it's in the hole. And and we all tackled each other on the green. It was pretty amazing. And then the second one was with my father on a course in Bowling Green. And I know that I at least bounced it off of a tree and 2 branches, and then it rolled in.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Like, that's Happy Gilmore style.
It is. For me, one of these things.
What do you hate?
Yeah.
What do you hate that everybody else seems to love?
And I don't know if it's the seems to love, right? Because the initial thing that came to my mind was group chats, because everyone seems to start a group chat, and I think they are satanic. I'm not a fan at all. Please stop the group chats. I don't want to leave them, but I will, because they're terrible. I know I'm in a fantasy football league with a bunch of guys I don't know through another friend. And when the group chat gets going, I want to just fall apart. It's the worst. I don't care about it, and I don't want to hear it. But the thing that came to my mind is Taylor Swift.
Oh, no.
I know. We just lost all of our audience. And I don't know what it is. Like there are songs that are catchy and I get it. I just don't understand the obsession. And she's not the only artist I have this problem with. But her songs feel like inside jokes that I'm not in on.
Wow.
Right? Like I don't want to have to follow everything about the artist to understand why the song is good.
Haters are going to hate, I guess.
I'm sure that that's a song reference.
It is.
Yeah, nothing.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, I don't know that I enjoy her music all that much, but I do certainly understand her importance, right? She's an iconic figure, no question. But she's made a couple records here where she's done a lot of collaborations with artists that I really enjoy, that I have found really appealing. Pretty fun, to be honest.
Not for me.
We definitely did lose listeners. I don't think we lost listeners by me hating golf, but you hating Taylor Swift, or not understanding Taylor Swift, that's not good for us.
So in the last several episodes, we've lost people because of your lack of understanding of Harry Potter, and also my hatred of Taylor Swift. For the audio listeners, Matt has just put up that Taylor Swift has sold over 248 million albums units globally. So yes, apparently I'm on my own in this. So I feel the passive aggressive judgment from our producer, Matt Markin.
That's wonderful. I do appreciate that, Matt. Thank you. Notice he didn't say there are so many people that love golf that Brody shouldn't say that he hates golf.
No, he wasn't jumping in on that one.
I mean, golf's not even the like most popular recreational activity. At least bowling used to be. And I'm a much bigger fan of bowling.
I feel golfers are super offended by the bowling analogy to this, but yeah, like I think we need to move on to a different topic now, because we're just throwing people away here. We have on an athletic director, and you're just sitting there just ripping golf.
It's what I'm here to do, right? I'm here to make enemies, I guess, today.
Yeah. So you asked me this question, and so I'm going to ask your question. If you could take off a year and do anything, what would it be?
Golly. I think this was based in a phone conversation we were having where I was just like, man, I'm really tired. It'd be great to have like a sabbatical. And I think the old institution where I used to work, where Jon Mark is at the University of Southern Indiana, they had administrative sabbaticals. And I wouldn't do research or anything like that. Maybe I'd follow Guster for a year. Just get in a van with my wife and go to every Guster show for an entire year. That would be a lot of fun.
Do you own a van, or is this part of the deal?
I'd have to buy a van.
Okay. Just making sure I'm following here.
You know, I think that would be a lot of fun. I was telling you the other day, one of the things I've really enjoyed when I visit new places is going to record stores. And I think it'd be fun to spend a year interviewing record store owners, like driving around the country to some of the most famous record stores in the country and saying, hey, what's your story? How'd you get started? Tell me about what you're listening to. Just kind of a combination of all the things that I might watch on YouTube related to music and records. How about you? What would you spend a year doing?
I thought about this one a bit. And so like, I think for me, I would figure out a way to travel the globe, attending the biggest sporting events that there are, right? Super Bowl, Wimbledon, the Masters, that's golf, Brody, World Cup, March Madness, you name it, I'm going. World Series, Stanley Cup, just going to it all. And just to like see how each country celebrates what they do, like going to different soccer matches, hearing the chants, going to like baseball in Tokyo to see how it's different from baseball in America. I think it would just be so fantastic to just do a global tour of all things sports. And then along the way, hit like all the Disney parks too.
Oh, that would be, that's a nice cap off. No question.
Right.
And you've got the money to do that, Kevin?
No, listen, this was just, you're dreaming, right? If you could take a year off and do anything, this is like you can financially do the things that you're capable of, because that would not be as much. I'd probably be getting a van and going to record stores.
Oh, there's some serious judgment here for sure.
Yeah, I like my answer better than yours, but that's okay. It's my answer.
That's why we're friends.
That's right. Listen, as I'm at all of these sporting events that are super cool, maybe there's some record stores in those towns and we can catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of catching up, are we ready to get to our guest?
Absolutely. That's as mean as we've been to each other the whole time we've recorded.
Yeah. People are always like, you guys are always so nice to each other.
Okay.
Brody's super mean to me all the time. Take that soundbite, Matt Markin. Let's put that out there. Brody's really mean.
Well, let's see if we can bring in one of my friends and remedy this and get back on track. Jon Mark Hall, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Brody. Hey, Kevin, you guys doing okay?
Yeah, we're clearly having fun. That's for sure.
You are. I'm enjoying the back and forth here.
Yeah, so we need to do a proper introduction, right? So Jon Mark here is joining us today. He's the Vice President and Director of Athletics at the University of Southern Indiana. He's been a part of USI Athletics since 1995, starting as an assistant AD and head men's tennis coach. He became the Director of Athletics in 2002. Long story short, he's now the Vice President for Athletics, and over his tenure, he's guided USI through some remarkable growth, a transition to Division I. He led the Screaming Eagles to multiple conference championships, postseason appearances, national titles in baseball and softball. And he graduated from Murray State. Kevin, you all are automatically connected now. This is like the second time we've had two Murray State grads in the same podcast, and I'm sitting here by myself, just a lowly Indiana University graduate, right? And here you are, two Murray guys again, and as well as the Ohio State University.
Okay, I love that one less, but yes. I love it.
And what I've really loved about Jon Mark, right, is he's kind of combined this deep commitment to athletic excellence, but an equally strong dedication to academics, leadership, community engagement. I got to know Jon Mark very well when I was serving as faculty athletics representative at the University of Southern Indiana. It's our privilege to have you on, Jon Mark. We're happy to have you.
No, I'm excited about being here and sharing some thoughts and ideas with you all. And I really appreciate it.
And so anytime we can have a Murray State racer join a Murray State racer, gosh, such a good win. Such a good win.
That is.
So go Racers today for sure.
That's for sure. There's something special about Murray. It's hard to tell people unless you've experienced it, or it's hard to explain it. But it's I grew up in Murray and stayed and went to school there, and it's a great place. Deep ties there for sure.
Absolutely.
So, Jon Mark, you've been a part of USI now for nearly 3 decades, from coach to AD to VP. What's kept you energized and inspired all these years?
It's I was fortunate to grow up on a campus. My dad was an administrator at Murray before he passed when I was a teenager. My mom was an accounting professor at Murray. And Kevin, I don't know if you ever had any accounting classes, but my mom was an accounting professor there. And so I don't know, Brody, I think maybe just I just always enjoy. I kind of grew up on it, right? Going to games and, probably tagging along for university-wide picnics and, all those type of things. And so I think, and honestly, that doesn't always translate. Sometimes it makes you want to do something different, right? Yeah. But I think as I moved along, I think when I was at Murray, I think I had a desire to be in pro sports. And then once I kind of learned a little bit more and really, thought about it, and let's be candid too, sometimes, the job and the opportunity might take you one way or the other. But I think being back on a campus and just, it's a really transformative time for those students that are there, and to be part of that and, feed off that energy. And I think that's what drove me, back to it. And then, really never thought about leaving it. It's never really crossed my mind to do, that much, anything different really. And so, and I've been fortunate I've really only worked at 2 institutions in 30 plus years. And that was South Carolina Spartanburg, which is now South Carolina Upstate. And then I've been at USI for, 30 years. And,
Wow.
there's just so much that changed. Y'all are on campuses. There's times where it gets a little bit, it's a little bit the same here and there, but boy, there's a lot of things that happen that are different. Your days are different. And, again, being around young people and has really kept me, pretty locked into what I'm doing.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that when you talk about what you've been doing at 2 institutions, we ask a lot of start of the journey questions to guests that have been on the show. And so like when you first arrived in what you're doing now at USI, could you have imagined where you're at today and what athletics looks like today at the collegiate level?
No. So I would have never thought I would be here that long. I think especially, and I don't want to obviously speak for everybody at a stage in their career, but I think you all would know better than me, but I think most people assume when they get somewhere, they'll be there for a little while. Right. And it's not because you don't like it there but there's just going to be another opportunity or something else. And, my wife and I aren't from Evansville. And, I remember we moved here. She's from Louisville, which is a bigger city and more things. Evansville's a nice city and plenty to do, but, you're thinking, okay, we'll be here for a handful of years and then we'll move on to somewhere else and eventually get to where you're settled. So, from a personal standpoint, I never would have thought that I would, be in Evansville for so long. Just never, I have a large family. My kids are all born and raised here. I would have never imagined that. But then to the second part of what you're saying, Kevin. So look, it's going to be Mr. Obvious here. There's no way that, I would have thought that what I'm doing now, what then in 1995 would look like what it is today. I mean, I tell people not to jump too far, but like, even 5 years ago, I never would have thought I'd be talking to an agent about a college student athlete, right? I mean, like, what is going on here? Like, like I didn't sign up for that, right? I mean, so the way this thing has flipped, some things slowly, but now really, if you think historically, 20 years from now, looking back at this, you're going to think how fast this flipped. And it's really unbelievable. You won't even be able to explain it to people about how quickly it went from one thing to the next. And really by that time people won't care, whatever. It's just the way it is. But it's definitely I never would have thought this. And it's not that I'm against all of these things that are happening. I think I'm not real fond of a few things, but sure. It's just that, nobody's really prepared for. People can say whatever they want. I trust in people and believe in people, but when somebody says, "Oh yeah, well I knew this was coming to be this way," I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. You didn't think this, right?" So anyway.
Yeah, but so Jon Mark, you and I now have been friends for quite some time, and one of the things I've always been impressed, right, is your leadership approach, though, with that kind of change has been pretty steadfast, right? What kind of lessons have you taken from like these quick changes, and how like what kinds of lessons have you taken from athletics or from your time as an administrator that you think have helped you be a strong leader in a space that is changing and evolving so quickly?
I don't, my personality is just, you can't get too high up and too far down. And I know it's cliche, but, you control the things that you can control and, some things you can't. And if you want to make change, you don't give up, but some things are just going to be a little bit out of your control. And I think it's not like some calculated approach. I mean, I'm going to be candid. Like I don't sit around and think about how exactly am I going to do this. I think my approach with really anything I've done in my career is to hopefully be the kind of leader that, again, that they understand my values and what I'm about, and I don't have to go give a rah-rah speech or dissertation. They're going to see how I conduct myself every day, and that they're going to understand what my expectations are of how other people move forward on a day-to-day basis. And so I think with the change, you can complain about it, you can gripe about it, you can act like the walls are caving in, so to speak, or you can be like, okay, we want to keep moving forward, right? Yeah. And we want to keep making progress, and so we have to adapt, right? Again, I know I'm saying things, but you have to adapt, or you're just going to be left behind. So as opposed to getting too high or too low with this, let's think about the things that we can do every day to help make change, make things better. Especially we have a lot of, Brody, this at our institution, we have a lot of people that have been here for a long time.
That's right.
And we're asking people all the time now, they need to reevaluate the way they approach things really way more often now than they ever have before. And so, you have to think a little bit differently, right? So not to harp on the agent thing, but I could say, I'm not talking to somebody's agent, and this is not who we are or what we are about. But, if that young person, maybe they need that guidance of that person. So we're going to communicate with this person, but we're still going to try to make sure that there has to be some communication between the student and us, or they're going to finish here or go on to their next place, and they're not going to know how to survive, because we all know it's easy for us because we're experienced, but you can't have other people handle all of your business all the time. I mean, at some point in time, you have to be the one that walks into somebody's office, or you have to be the one that talks to professor about missing a class or doing poorly on an exam that you want to try to get some assistance with or whatever. It can't be a slew of administrators or academic counselors or whatever. You have to be able to do that, or you're going to go out eventually and just not be able to survive, right? So I don't know if I'm really answering it, Brody. I just been more of a, we keep adapting, we keep changing, we roll with it. Definitely more of a, we can all go to a bookstore and read 100 different ways to lead.
Yeah.
But I'd say if it had to be categorized, mine would just probably be lead by example, right? Like, we don't ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't, do myself. Again, whatever these things are, or I haven't done before. And we're just going to try to, and really at the core of it, you just have to treat people the right way. And I think we had a staff meeting today. We talked about we have some changes going on with our conference right now, and it can be stressful, but we just have to stay positive. We have to keep moving forward. We have to make ourselves as marketable a place to our student athletes and to our students and to prospective conferences or other conference members, and just keep moving in that direction.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that in your approach, right? And working all those years with the Great Lakes Valley Conference, right? So that I think your answer really sums up what I've seen from you in your professional life during that time, for sure.
A large majority of our listeners, Jon Mark, I would say, probably aren't super familiar with the ins and outs of the athletic world, right? Like Brody and I talk about this a lot. We have a good amount of folks that visit the show that are in the advising world, but student success and admissions. But I don't know that a lot of them are going to be like, oh, I know everything there I need to know about athletics. And even somebody that works in athletics, I don't know that they know everything that they need to know in this environment about athletics.
Right.
But when you look at all of the things that are going on, and you've had a transition to Division I, NIL going on, conference realignment, transfer portal chaos. And I think the transfer portal part of this probably hitting a large number of of the advising community that's listening in some way, shape, or form. What are the one or two things that you think about that probably most folks wouldn't consider sitting in a seat that they don't understand athletics, but you think might be helpful for them to know?
Well, and it's not just because of that lead up you just gave, but I think of advising And I think of the transfer situation. I think about that a lot because so let's maybe go a little different direction. Like the people that do enjoy intercollegiate athletics and follow it from afar, when these individuals are transferring, they have no concept of what that does to a student from the academic side of things, right?
Right.
You all do, and maybe a lot of these listeners do. So this is maybe going a little bit against what you're asking, because I think they do. But I think what gets lost in the shuffle to people is, I mean, these are students that have amassed credit, right, at whatever institution or institutions they've been. And as you all know, and a lot of people listen to that, that doesn't mean that it's just all is accepted by the next school. It all is going to lead to the, and I think we do a terrible job of losing sight of that, because you might be able to go make a little extra money at another place or play more, but nobody talks about this academic path or journey that these young people are on. It like totally gets lost in the shuffle, and that really bothers me because, so again, I went to grad school at Ohio State, so I'm an Ohio State football fan. Well, my friends that are Ohio State football fans, they don't think about any of that stuff. Like,
right,
that guy came from here. Well, I think, wonder how that transition was, right? Wonder, how many classes that got lost in the shuffle, or how many classes did he take that just don't even count anymore? And we really lose sight of that sometimes. We've really tried hard to make sure that like we're part of this. Like, it's not athletics in the institution. We're part of the whole thing. And we are different, and it gets people frustrated at times because there are nuances, but you try not to be different, right? You try to be just the same as every other department on campus. And so I will say this, that I do think sometimes, maybe this more answers the question, that I think people that aren't in athletics, I would hope that they would understand that some of us in athletics, we do think about that stuff a lot. Like, that is not most, and I'm not saying all. Like, I'm not going to, like, there may be administrators and coaches that have no worries about that. They're just trying to win the next game or move on. But most of us really try to lock in to be a part of the fabric of the institution and be part of the big picture, not, oh, well, there's athletics, or they're doing their own thing and nobody's, they get all the money, or they get, no, we don't really operate, most of us, not that way. And so I do think that I think it's a little, and again, I don't think any of us are looking for a pat on the back or anything, but I do think sometimes people don't think that we're thinking of any of those things. So maybe that's what I would say is, like, no, most of us are, and we think about it a lot, not just a little bit.
And it's not just talk from my perspective, Jon Mark, right? Like, the time that I spent as the faculty athletics rep, right? There's a long tradition at USI of high academic achievement among student athletes. And we've talked about this a lot, but like, can you recall, or can you highlight, what do you think are some of the specific strategies that have been most effective in supporting academic success at USI, right? Like, I mean, lots of awards, lots of students who are achieving at the highest levels in the classroom. And I think that institution took a lot of pride in that. I think the athletic department took a lot of pride in that. But what was in the sauce? Like, what were some of the strategies that you thought were really effective in making sure that happened?
To me, and this is, it's the most simple thing. It's making sure that your students and everyone around believe that you believe in the academic, their academic journey in this mission. And it's just not a bunch of BS where somebody sees right through you and you're like, hey, when you're talking to them about their grades, it's not all about just staying eligible, right? It's not all about, but it's about what are you going to do next. And I'm a firm believer that just because somebody has a little bit better grades than the next doesn't mean they'd be any better at whatever they decide to do, whether it's what any of us do or what have you. But making sure that they understand that commitment to athletics, and we're not just saying it, right? But we don't have a ton of resources, right? To we don't send tutors on the road with teams, and they don't have, each team doesn't have their own academic advisor. Obviously at USI, Brody, we use, the unit that you oversaw. I mean, that was our group, right? We didn't have any athletic academic counselors. Now we do have a couple now, but they're not true advisors. They're not academicians, right? They're just helping student athletes guide, get to the right people, what have you. But to me, I think the key is just not, people believing that you're not just saying things to, because you feel like it's the right thing to say, that they believe that you really, care about them. We just had a discussion today in our staff meeting about, to Kevin's point with the portal and things going on, we have a little bit more turnover than we ever have. Right. And it's all some of it's maybe not, sometimes it's not all bad. Like somebody just wants to go somewhere else and grass a little greener. Sometimes you do have to make some hard decisions and remove somebody from a team or what have you, but we still have to be there for that student, right? We we see them in the building 2 weeks later and avoid them, or, we have to be the adults. We have to be the responsible people that are going to still help these young people, even if they broke 6 rules that we had as a team. Well, let's still try to see if we can, wherever their next step is, we can help prepare them, for that. So I think just, making sure people believe in that, and that what you're doing, and you seem sincere and real. And I think that's, I think it's really important, but it's harder in this day and age. I mean, it just is. I mean, I could get, we've got examples here of, students that, I'm not saying they're not worried about their academic end goal, but they're chasing something a little bit different and trying to work with them and manage them and make sure they still lock into what's important. It's getting a little bit more difficult. And you know what, it's hard to blame them it's hard to blame some of them because, if somebody's offered them a lot of money and an opportunity to do something, it's hard to be super critical, but you hope they understand the whole big picture of what they're, what they're doing.
It is an interesting thing at this moment, because you talked a little bit about the balance that an administrator used to have between wins and losses and success in the classroom. And now I think from a student athlete standpoint, and then, for those folks walking our campuses, and we all have fairly large experience at regional institutions, smaller public, whatever phrasing you might want to use, that's the reality now. And I think a lot of folks don't understand, even when you work on a college campus, that you use the Ohio State example. Let's use others, right? Like I grew up, I spent a lot of time being a fan of University of Kentucky basketball. Well, like there's been rumors for years that they're paying their athletes and they're doing this and they're doing that and all these things. But now for our students, not only is it the balance of being a student athlete or being a student and being an athlete, it's also, if I have a good 10-game stretch here, I could go sit on the bench at one of these big schools and make a pretty large sum of money. And that's just a wild reality that we sit in. And so I think that when you work with your coaches and when you're thinking about things like, how do you define success for a student athlete beyond wins and losses?
Yeah, it's, you really want them to leave saying they've just had a really good experience, right? And most of the time, if somebody leaves and said they had a good experience and something went right along the way, and you hope that they would be better, for that said experience. I mean, Brody and I've spent time on looking at, exit interviews and evaluations and, reading through some of those things and, trying to figure out how can we make the experience the best possible way for the student. But, Kevin, I think and I don't know if I'm answering this, but you try to make sure they understand the totality of what is happening, right? And the totality of what decisions that they make, could lead to, and in trying. I think at first, in myself, and I feel like a reasonable person, but like I would get frustrated that somebody might have a chance to, have the 10-game stretch and then go make a lot of money, right? To at the next spot. But then I learned, like, why should I, like, that's the reality, right? So now how do I help this person or a coach talk to the student about working through this situation?
Yeah.
And like, for instance, let's just use basketball as an example. What you don't want to do, and we can't make the decision for them, but what you don't want to do is I don't think you want to make sure that if somebody thinks they can, let's say they leave USI and go somewhere else, unless I'm just making up a number, let's say they can make $200,000 at the next institution, which we've had students that do that. So it's hard to tell a young person that they can't go take that. But what I think we can tell them is that if you go there and then, so you had this great 10-game stretch here, you might not have that there. And what's the end value? So if you don't play at the next school, then that earning capacity for you in the sport of basketball is going to be done. Like it's over, right? Now, if you stay here or go somewhere else and maybe make $50,000 or $100,000, but you play and you want to go play overseas or what have you, you still have your earning capacity in this trade that you want to participate in. So again, we can't guarantee any of those things will happen, but to me, we have to, our coaches and I don't have as much interaction with students in that. Now I try to help them, but just making sure they understand the gravity of those decisions. But unfortunately, the system right now is, I don't know that we're, obviously they're earning money, which I think is fine. And that's, but I don't know that the process and the way it's going is really doing them a lot of favors.
If you had a magic wand, Jon Mark, what would it look like? Like if you could make it what you wanted to make it, what would it look like?
Well, I mean, I think what's happening right now is a lot of institutions, including us, we're really sharing revenue that we, have yet to, create, or, you're it's yeah. Like, so the true NIL stuff to me is like, we should have done that. Where we really messed up was, that should have been going on for the last 15 or 20 years. Right. So, I mean, we know the popular examples, right? If Tim Tebow could have profited from some of those jerseys Florida was selling, or Johnny Manziel could have done some of that, and gone sign autographs at the local, grocery store for $100 a football or whatever, we wouldn't be where we are so drastically changed today. Yeah. Right. So we really messed these things up 10, 15, 20 years ago. So really, Brody, to answer your question, I wish we could go back in time a little bit, right? and make it right then. And then we wouldn't have such a drastic shift, because if Caitlin Clark can go make $1 million from State Farm when she's at Iowa, what that's awesome, right? Yeah. But if Caitlin Clark's being paid, and she's not a good example on this side, but if somebody in her situation is getting paid $2 million to play basketball, and the basketball program is creating $800,000 in revenue, that's not good, right?
I think it's just this huge struggle, right? Like, and so like, I don't know that I would say I empathize with the world that you're in at this moment, because I just don't know that I can fully even grasp it. But as a sports fan, and as somebody that's at University of Central Arkansas, a Murray State fan, Murray State grad, I look at it and go, okay, if this would have been around 35, 40 years ago, like Scottie Pippen doesn't happen here on our campus, right? Ja Morant does not play as long as he played at Murray State University. And it's like, those are experiences that fans got to have, but being a student on the campuses that we're talking about in those periods of time is just, it's also part of that student experience. When we talk about student success, we often think about, okay, well, what's happening from the student athlete experience? What's also happening from the fan experience that keeps them engaged and coming to campus and being involved and being a part of the community? And it's such an interesting balance that you work in right now. Kudos to you and all of your colleagues that have decided to keep going this path, because it's a lot, Jon Mark.
Yeah, but I think you've given, some really good examples. And then what happens now too is from, if you have a donor base and a fan base that's really wants to support, they have a little bit of a negative attitude at times, not because they feel like, if so let's use Scottie Pippen. Well, he's going to be gone. So, why do I need to get super excited? Like, all he's going to do is have this great year and go. So now I'm not as invested, as opposed to, hey, we have Scottie Pippen here. This is great. Hopefully he's back next year, and we can really build on this thing. And everybody's excited and getting to, know him as a person, or John Morant, whoever. But now you almost have this, kind of cynical, like, well, that's not gonna, now at the larger institutions, a little bit different, right?
Right.
So, because you feel like you can retain them, but you feel it's we got to stay positive. It feels like it's the mountain to climb to have sustained success, because of the rosters turning, feels difficult. Again, we had this, I know I'm just coming off a staff meeting today. We were talking today about how hard this is, hard, right? And like, so, and I was trying to be like, this is hard. Like, every win we get and every student we retain and has a success story, like, I feel like we should be going to celebrate every night, right? Like, this is so hard right now, right? Yeah, it's what we're doing. I think it's going to settle down after. I mean, me personally, probably when I'm done with this, but settle down a little bit and become a little bit more manageable. I do believe that, because I don't know if we can sustain this at this pace, but it's not going to happen overnight.
I do worry about schools like the ones where we've worked, right? A lot, being able to sustain the kind of financial commitment that athletic excellence has really kind of pushed on and thrust on all schools, right? It's just, it used to be if you were a coach and you found a diamond in the rough and you were able to develop them, that was good on you. And then you were able to able to see the fruits of your labor. And now you just have to defend all the time, right? Stopping folks from kind of finding a better deal or getting to a better spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so, Jon Mark, I'm curious, from your aspect of leadership, who have been your mentors or role models, whether that's in athletics or leadership or life, that you think help guide you today? Yeah,
so I think the Steve Newton was the AD at USI who I came with. And look, I think all of us would say, the people that we work for and with, like, most of us would say, look, we have some, I wouldn't do it that way, right? But these, like, I think all of us would say, I don't know that anybody's ever worked for what they would call the perfect or leader, right? But I really, the way he approached people. And I'll give you a really quick story if you don't mind. And it's a Murray story, right? So Steve Newton was the
we'll allow it then.
Yeah.
We'll allow it.
He was the basketball coach at Murray. Okay. Yeah. He had great success there. My dad was an administrator at Murray, and he passed away when I was a sophomore in high school, right? So we were in grade in Murray, but my dad passed away, and the Newtons knew him, so there's a relationship there. But I'll never forget. Obviously, I can't remember what I had for lunch today, right? But I can't, when Murray won the OVC tournament in Racer Arena when I was in college, and there's this, big scrum on the court. Not scrum, I shouldn't say, we're celebrating, right? And Coach Newton, I mean, like, this is career defining stuff for a coach, right? You're going to the NCAA tournament. I don't know if that's the year we beat NC State or we got, but I can't put that part together. But Coach Newton grabbed me. He has a career defining moment, right? And he grabbed me and said, "Man, your dad would be happy today, wouldn't he? Your dad would be, proud of us today, right?" He's got this mentality and one of the highest moments of his career in life. And he went on to be the head coach of South Carolina, right, because of success. And he's thinking about other people and who helped him get there, right? And so I've really tried to, like, think of that, like, not just that moment, but, like, the way you treat people and make them feel it's important. And that wasn't there's no way he thought about that in advance, right? He didn't do it my dad's passed away. He doesn't receive any bonus points for saying something nice to this college student. It's just because he's a really good dude, right? And he thinks about people. And so, he was one of the people that always just really, you just try to, treat people the right way. And then my uncle was a football coach in Union County, Kentucky, growing up. And he just was, just the way he treated his players and, just another inspiring person, to me, just to see how he would lead really young men from a kind of rough community who didn't have a lot and try to build them as a team together and buy into can't be the star today. We need this person. I think, and obviously my parents were, great mentors for me, but Steve Newton and my uncle who coached high school football were kind of the people that from an athletic side of things really kind of, helped me try to the way I'd want to treat people.
It always gives me a little hope to hear stories like that we've all had people like that have meant such a difference in our lives, right? I know, and I really appreciate you sharing those stories. Those were both great examples of kind of how you, and then like the impact it has, but then how you can use that in your life as well, right? So thanks for sharing that, Jon Mark.
Yeah.
Well, and when we have some of the conversations we had at the beginning of the show where your role has evolved in the way that it has, to me, it just speaks to you as a leader. And we just met on the podcast today. But when you're talking about the relational approach to what you're doing, whether you're in somebody's life for a fleeting moment or for 4 years or for 40 years, your impact is by who you are and how you handle it and how you conduct yourself and the impression that you can leave. And I think that says a lot no matter what your role is and no matter what you're doing.
I appreciate that. I think that, you all do the same thing. We deal with students all the time. And I think, it's again, that part is hard too, because I would say that if I don't know about you all, but if I interact with 50 students, there's only going to be one of the 50 that might have any type of close to a life experience that I similar life. These people are different. You don't know what they've been through or what,
Yeah.
And I've really tried to do that too, which I know I can't act like I know what you're going through, or I can't act like, oh yeah, I get it. Like I learned early on, I say, oh yeah, I get what you're talking about. That was not a good answer, right? You know what I'm saying? Not answer, but not a good approach, right? They're looking at you like you don't know what I'm going through, right? And they're right, So
they are. Well, Jon Mark, let's have some fun. Let's kind of let you off the hook here a little bit. We've been asking some tough questions. Let's have some fun, right? So maybe share with us what's something about you that most people wouldn't know, maybe a hobby or a hidden talent that you've got.
Well, I don't know of any hidden talents. I can tell you that. I'm pretty vanilla that way. So, I'm a pretty open book. I do think that, look, I have a large family. I have 6 children. My wife's awesome. Family's super important to me. And so really spending time and doing, cool things with them. And that's kind of what that I enjoy doing, right? Like, so, I think I'm a little more of a music person, nothing like you, Brody. Like, I'm not even close to that, but I'm definitely more of a music person than people would, like every once in a while I tell people when I was in high school and college, I was a big R&B guy. They're like, what? What? I'm like, yeah.
So are you a Lionel Richie fan?
Well, I mean, I saw Lionel Richie in concert, I'm sure, back in the day. So definitely, for sure. I don't, go that way as much now, but I like music. I told Brody I went to Ocean's Calling Festival last couple weeks ago in Maryland and saw some just awesome bands, 3 days of music and with my wife, and enjoyed that. And so it was funny too, because when you all were talking and I was off, it was like what you all were talking about. Like, I'd almost want to do the combination of those things. Like my wife, like I'd like to rent for a year, like a Sprinter van that you could sleep in, right? And just start driving. And then I'd like to go to sporting events and record store. Like, I just like to stop wherever and just, pull over and sleep and just keep driving. So it was interesting, the combination of those things. So
record stores during the day, sporting events at night. There you go.
Yeah. Now, and I'm, definitely, I think Brody would have a deeper dive into the record stores than I would, but a lot of those bands that Brody, knows I've never heard of, or, I got to do some research on, but he's taught me a lot about music, which is good. So, but no, I enjoy, those really enjoy being around friends and just hanging out. And, I like golf a little bit. I definitely don't have the golf hatred that Brody does, Kevin. So we could probably go do that sometimes if you want. We'll just leave Brody back at the pro shop or clubhouse, and we'll meet him afterwards. So,
hey, one of my holes in one is at Miller Golf Course there.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, hole 16 right there.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
So I know you've been chasing Messi around, right? You're kind of. You've seen Messi play a couple times. You've got a new hobby, the Nashville MLS team, right?
Yeah, I definitely have. That has really come in my life over the last 4, 5, 6 years. It's and really been I know Brody and I talk a lot about just being positive and happy, Kevin, and bringing joy in a weird way. The Nashville Soccer Club has brought me a lot of joy and fun over the last 5 or 6 years. I have a friend of mine who I grew up in with, Murray, that started the USL team in Nashville. And then he actually hired Mike. His name's David Dill. He hired Mike Jacobs as the GM, and Mike was the soccer coach at the University of Evansville. We went to church together. He coached some, a couple of my kids. And so it's got this weird, 3-way connection now that wasn't, I just happened. It's an interesting connection now. And so I'm a big Nashville Soccer Club fan. I'm going this weekend. Messi's in town, and I'm excited about
so jealous
seeing him. Yeah, this will be the second time. And so I've brought, me and my boys watch it over the weekend when we're together, and it's just I root for them hard. Like it's funny because I'm not a soccer like Brody's like a soccer person. I'm not really, but I've grown into this. And I'd say if I could ask for one team to win the championship, I mean, it used to be the Bengals. Now it's Nashville FC, right? So, but no, it's been a lot of fun. And I've enjoyed that over the last handful of years.
That's great.
Very good. Well, we're going to move into the lightning round. I think we might have just hit your favorite sports team outside of USI, so we're going to skip that one. What's your favorite vacation spot?
We enjoy going to St. George Island in Florida. It's just a little place. It's not a lot of tourists there, and we've been going there every Christmas. Well, most every Christmas vacation with our kids, and that's our go-to spot right now.
Do you have a favorite guilty fast food pleasure, Jon Mark?
Guilty fast food pleasure. Gosh, I love Mexican fast food, which I know is I love Moe's and Chipotle, and just that's probably it's not good for me all the time, but that's I like those spots.
That's great.
Do you have a book you'd recommend that everyone should be reading?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I'd say that my favorite book, and you'd have to be well, I don't know that you'd have to be a sports person, but obviously it would be. So it's a book called Loose Balls, and it's the history of the ABA, the American Basketball Association. Oh. It is so good. It is, I mean, it is so good. And that's the, it's an all-time. Now, again, if you like basketball and sports, it's a little bit better than if you don't. But I love that book, and I could read it multiple times.
Are you an early bird or a night owl, Jon Mark? Where do you get your energy?
Early bird for sure. Yeah, early bird for sure. Yeah. My wife's a night owl, but we've made it work. So we're on a little different schedules, but yeah, early bird.
What about a favorite movie or TV series that you can rewatch endlessly?
Rewatch endlessly. I'd say that I'm a big, these aren't going to be a big Modern Family guy. I think I could just watch that.
It's a great show.
I've really enjoyed Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I can really watch that a lot and over. And I am at a point in my life, guys, where I want it to be easy and simple, and I don't want to stress about it, and I want to be entertained, and I don't want to have to figure anything out. So, like, I'm not saying that I won't watch, the crime shows, but I prefer just to laugh a little bit, be entertained, and move on. So those are my type of shows for sure.
Good show picks, good ones.
Well, Jon Mark, it was great having you on.
That was great being here. You guys are a lot of fun and appreciate it. And thanks for thinking of me. And wish you the best of luck with this. And I appreciate you having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, have a great rest of your year, Jon Mark. We'll see you.
Right,
thanks a lot. We'll
All
chat
right,
soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Listen, man, like that's fantastic. Jon Mark was great.
He was great. Yeah.
You've gotten in the process to meet some people that I knew that worked in higher ed that you didn't, and I think this is one of the first that I had not met, and it was great to catch up on just what's happening in his world, and I just think about things from this leadership perspective that he's talking about, and navigating the waters that are happening in the collegiate athletic world right now. I think you have to have that kind of temperament and that approach and that leadership style that Jon Mark talked about, which is just being relational, being patient, but also having a good direction of where things can go. Like that was wonderful to hear.
Yeah, I think, when we talk together a lot, we use the term good dude a lot, and he's just a good dude, right? And I think when you come at your work from that perspective, people notice that right away. And that's one of the things I'd take. And then the constant reminder, his story about Steve Newton, right? Like, I'm just reminded about how important real mentors are in our work, right? And and the little things that sometimes we remember is really important in our journeys as administrators, as professionals. And so I took that from the session, right? Like, God, that's a great story. And really thinking about how important it is to kind of recognize those folks that make our lives a lot better through their mentorship. So,
yeah, those little differences. It was one of these things recently. Alex, that works in financial aid for me here at UCA, he said, he said, I love that you drop by and see how things are going. And he goes, I just really appreciate that time to get to hear more and learn more and figure out ways that I can get better and all those things. And I was just like, I just feel like I stopped by to say, hey, in my mind, like I'm just being a good human and like wanting to say, hey, and like see how his day's going. But like he views it as like this learning and growth thing. And it was just, it's so kind of just sometimes the intent versus what the impression are two totally different things. And I love that happens in life.
Yeah. And Jon Mark's stories are a good reminder of that, right? That story about Steve's a good reminder of that. So we were talking about this the other day on the phone. Let's end here, but this is a good topic. Thanksgiving is coming up,
right around the corner.
I mean, and like, we got to do our top 3. Like, what's your top 3 Thanksgiving foods? Like an absolute must to make the holiday, Kevin. Come on.
All right. So listen, this is going to be controversial, and it may be more controversial than the Taylor Swift nonsense that we started this with. Right. I don't like turkey, and it's not that I don't like it's fine. It's fine. Right. It's okay. But like when I'm doing my top 3 here, turkey's not showing up in it. And the reason and rationale is the things that are about to show up are sides. And sides are delicious. But if I'm going to have these really great sides with something, like give me a steak, right? So I'll just say that before I do any of the turkey stuff. But my top 3 here, and I'm going to go with this, and I'm going to go with who makes it. My mom's sausage rice casserole. Love it. Like she makes it every Thanksgiving, sometimes Christmas too. My grandma Thomas's mac and cheese. And it is specific to this, right? Like it took a really long time to get to this point. But like when she passed away, I think the family as a whole thought, oh my gosh, we can't find the recipe. It's never going to work. And now like Tony recreated it. And so like we're at a point where that mac and cheese is next level. And so I'd say my grandma's mac and cheese and then my wife's green bean casserole. Those are my top 3. They are delicious. They are wonderful. And turkey is stupid.
You are terrible. I can't. I mean, I could eat turkey for a week afterwards. If you could keep that turkey good, I'd have turkey. Like my favorite thing is like the little Hawaiian rolls and butter and cold turkey the day after Thanksgiving. Like I can pop like 5 or 6 of those at breakfast the next day. And I'm like, yes, this is the greatest thing. But I'm putting turkey
for
on
breakfast.
Oh yeah. Butter, cold turkey, and a Hawaiian roll. Like, let's go. Let's go.
You're a strange man.
I think that's pretty not strange.
Oh, all right. What's the 3? Tell me some more deliciousness that we're going to talk about.
So turkey is definitely on the list, and I'm going to share like my mom makes chicken and dumplings, and they are next level. Right. So it's not really a side. It's like a second main course, but they are great.
Okay. I'm there for that.
Sometimes you marry into great stuff like rice stuffing. Catherine's mom and dad, their family made rice stuffing. So I kind of got brought into this, and this rice stuffing is so good, like sage sausage, spices, rice, kind of used to cook it in the turkey. But even when you don't do it, you use the chicken broth, just amazing. And then lemon meringue pie. Like, let's go. My mom's lemon meringue pie, fantastic.
Those are all good. And I'll say, now I'm hungry.
I know it. Yeah. And we could talk about what we're thankful for, but we don't have enough time for that. But hopefully you're kind of giving thanks as you get into the season here. But that's it for this edition of the Pickup Meeting. We got to get going, right? So we hope your own meetings, formal or pickup style, are as meaningful. What?
Wait, hold on. You can't just go right into it. Listen, man, I'm incredibly thankful for you, my friend, as we hit this holiday season. So
you're awesome. And,
I know.
Likewise. I mean, we may fight, but we do still love each other.
We bicker and get along in a passively aggressively way.
So, this is the end of the Pickup Meeting. Until next time, right? Let's do good and be nice. How about that?